how can you surrender and let go and become detached from the outcome and the stuff that you seek after in your life? How can you do that and still have the things that you want come into your life? How does that paradox work? One of the things that I have learned in my own speaking is to let go of the outcome, to be unconcerned with the reaction and what's in it for me, and indeed to just surrender. And in my meditation before I speak, I always repeat the mantra endlessly over and over again, and I find myself doing this more and more in my life, and something that I urge you to do. I ask the question, how may I serve? Just, how may I serve? How may I serve? How may I serve? There are 1,000 people there. How may I serve them? It's like getting the focus off of what's in it for me and how do I look and whether I say the right thing and whether people like what I say, whether they buy things that I have or whatever, and instead like letting all of that go, just letting that go. And getting the focus of your life, the centeredness of your life on this business of serving. And the irony of it is that when you get to that point where you're able to do it and let go of that outcome, all of the stuff that you chased after and worked so hard for and figured you had to have back here begins to chase after you and show up in your life. And it isn't you're no longer on the treadmill. It's like a surrendering. And so that's what I do when I come on stage. And it's almost as if God says to me, it's like, as long as you stay on purpose, you'll never stumble. And you'll know what to say. And when you get off of that, you shift your alignment away from that, then you won't be able to do what you're doing. And the same thing happened in the writing of this Real Magic. For the first time in my life, I experienced what I have come to call automatic writing, where I left home and went off to Maui and sat down and in 8 weeks' time just produced this book without any struggle whatsoever, not one moment of struggle. And it just seemed to be there, and it seemed to flow. And I can type, like when I sit down and type a letter or a contract or anything that I might have to put out on a typewriter, I'm one of these kind of typists. And I just look around. I can do it rather quickly, but I have never had the formal training in typing. But when I write at this little typewriter, I can go along and close my eyes and write at 70 and 80 words a minute when you get into that automatic. And I can't tell you how I do that, because I had completely let go. And I wasn't concerned with whether the editors liked it, how it came out, whether or not it was a bestseller, whether people were going to buy it, whether the reviews were going to be, nothing. It was like very, very peaceful. And it's a very peaceful place that I'm asking you to look at and get to in your own life.
I learned to do it about 10 years ago when I really honed this, and that was when I was speaking in Houston. There were about 3,500 people who had all paid a lot of money to come and hear me, and it was an evening with Wayne Dyer, and I had all my notes all arranged in exactly the way I wanted to, and everything was just exactly perfect. I was backstage doing the pacing that you do before you go on, and the meditating and the breathing, and just getting yourself relaxed, and the sort of divine guidance that you're seeking. And I realized that I didn't have my notes. They were gone.
Yes.
And they were back in the hotel room, which was 30 minutes away, and I was going on in 10 minutes. So I walked out on stage without any notes for the first time, and I surrendered. In that 10-minute period of time, I just said, all right, you know what you're doing, and you know how to do it, and you're good at this, and you're here for a reason, and there are 3,501 people in this room, and you're the one who's speaking, and 3,500 have paid to come and hear you. There must be a reason for that. And so get on purpose. Get on purpose. Get off of your outcome. Get off of how well you do. Get off of how much money you're being paid. Get off of all of that and get on to what are you here for?
Yeah.
And you're here to improve the quality of life for somebody else. That's all you can do. When you leave this planet, the measure of your life won't be in what you accumulated. It will be in what you gave. Since you can't get anything anyway, it's in giving. So I surrendered, and that was the beginning for me of surrendering. I've never used notes since in my life. It's not that I'm not prepared. I meditate before, and I know what I want to do.
See, what you have to learn is that I read a wonderful line when I was down in Australia by an actress who was talking, and she concluded it with, she said, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. See, God's plan works, essentially, and yours doesn't. Basically. It's like becoming a spiritual being really means shifting away from your plans and allowing yourself into this divine perfection.
We all live in the presence of what we imagine to be an ideal future, and yet in our fixation on what lies ahead, we often miss the richness, the fullness, the utter magnificence of the present moment. There are many who are consumed with the idea of what they have not yet achieved, of where they are not yet, of what they have not yet experienced. And in this pursuit, they forget the life that is unfolding right in front of them. The truth is, the only life that truly exists is this one, the one happening right now. The future is a mere illusion. It is not a place you arrive at, but a destination made from the thoughts you carry today. If you allow yourself to be entranced by the future, you may find yourself missing the only moment that truly matters, the one you are living right now. Do you understand that the present moment is all there ever is? The future that you chase is a mirage that promises happiness, but it never truly arrives. The only true moment of power is this very second, right now. You are here, breathing, feeling, being, and yet so many of us are looking beyond, yearning for what's next. We race towards some undefined goal, thinking that we will find fulfillment when we reach it. But fulfillment is already available to you in the here and now, if only you open your eyes to it. The ego tells us that we need more achievements, more possessions, more approval. And as we chase these external markers, we forget that the greatest fulfillment lies within. It is not in the future that we will find peace. It is right now in the stillness of our being where we reconnect to the soul, to the divine essence that has always been there. The truth is, you were born into wholeness. The story of your life has always been unfolding, and it will continue to unfold, but only when you stop chasing a future that is perpetually out of reach and begin embracing the beauty of now. I want to remind you of something fundamental. You are not your ego. You are not the achievements you think you need to attain to prove your worth. Your ego will continue to chase after approval, success, recognition, but none of these things can ever define you. When you realize that you are not your ego, you will stop chasing after a future that keeps you bound to the illusion of lack. You will understand that you are already whole. You are already enough. And this understanding will transform your experience of life. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, that you were freed from the need to chase anything. No more measuring yourself against others. No more striving for a future that seems ever elusive. What if, instead of striving, you chose to simply be? You are already everything you seek. It's within you right now. The keys to the kingdom are not hidden in some distant time, but right within your heart in the present moment. When you release the need to chase a future, you align with the truth that you are a divine being, and you stop living in the dream of what could be. You come home to the now, to the space where true peace exists. You see, there is great wisdom in the present. In this moment, your life is already unfolding in the way it is meant to. Every breath, every beat of your heart, every thought and every emotion, it is all part of the divine plan that is woven into the fabric of your soul. The future is a projection of your mind, an image shaped by your desires, your fears, your fantasies, but it is not real. The real power, the real magic is in your willingness to be present, to surrender the past, to release the future and to live in this moment with full awareness. In every moment, the soul whispers to you. The soul does not reside in the future. It is not concerned with what will be, because it knows the deep truth that it is eternal, unchanging, and free. The soul knows that you are not defined by the conditions of your life. You are not limited by your circumstances. The soul speaks in stillness, in presence. It does not demand, it does not chase. It is already whole, already complete, and it invites you to remember this truth. So, I ask you, what is it that you are chasing? What future are you running toward? And when you get there, when you finally reach that elusive destination, will you truly find what you are looking for? Or will you find, as so many before you have, that the future is always moving just out of reach, and by the time you arrive, it will already be yesterday? The future, my friend, is an illusion. It is always tomorrow, never now. In your life, what if you chose to stop chasing and began to simply live? What if you allowed yourself the grace to rest in the present moment? The moment you stop striving, the moment you stop trying to outrun yourself, is the moment you begin to truly live. Life is not a race. It is not a series of milestones you must reach to be worthy. Life is an unfolding journey, and every moment you miss chasing a distant future is a moment you will never get back. You are the author of your life, and you do not need to wait for the perfect future to write your story. You can begin right now. The beauty of the present moment is that it is all you ever need. The world is in constant motion, and yet, here you are, standing still in the vast expanse of time with everything you need to experience peace and fulfillment within you. When you realize this, you stop running. You stop chasing. You stop measuring yourself by what you haven't yet achieved. You begin to see that you are already enough, that you are already whole, and that this moment is where life is truly happening. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to feel at peace. You don't have to wait until you have more success, more love, more recognition. The fullness you seek is already here, in the now. When you embrace the present, you release the burden of waiting for something outside of you to change. The peace you seek is not found in some distant future, but in the quiet acceptance of this very moment. When you stop chasing the future, you are free to live your life fully. The soul is not concerned with tomorrow. It is concerned only with this moment, this breath, this step. And so, my friend, I invite you to join the soul in this dance of life. Be present. Stop waiting. Stop chasing. The future will come, but it will come on its own terms. It will unfold in its own time, and when it does, you will be ready, not because you spent your days chasing it, but because you spent your days living fully in the now. You are not defined by what you have or have not achieved. You are defined by your capacity to be present, to be whole, to be at peace, and in this peace, all things are possible. When you stop chasing a future, you align with the divine flow of life, and you begin to experience the miracles of the present moment. The future is not a place you get to. It is a series of moments strung together, and every moment you live is a gift. Don't miss your life chasing a future that has not yet arrived. Live now. And in that living, you will discover that you are everything you have ever sought. In this life, the only certainty is the present. And so, my friend, I leave you with this truth. Do not chase a future that will never be. Live in the now. Embrace the fullness of the present. For in doing so, you will discover that you are already enough, that you are already whole, and that you are already living the life you have been seeking all along. Let go, be here, be now. As you breathe, you begin to understand the simplicity of the truth. Life is not something you have to force. It is something you flow with. In the dance between your breath and the beating of your heart, there is a harmony that transcends the chaos of the world. It is in the silence between your thoughts, in the stillness between your movements that you find the deepest connection to your soul. You see, you are not meant to fight life, you are meant to align with it. The more you fight, the more you separate yourself from the peace that is your birthright. But when you release the need to control, the struggle ceases, and the universe begins to work with you, not against you. In this moment of surrender, you start to feel a shift, a subtle yet profound shift. You begin to see yourself not as an individual fighting against the tides, but as an integral part of the vast ocean. The waves come and go, but the ocean remains, unshaken, ever-present, eternal. You are that ocean. The waves of life, joy, pain, success, failure are simply passing moments. They do not define you. What defines you is the essence of your being, the stillness that remains when everything else fades away. Now, let us be clear. This is not to say that life will become easy. The ebb and flow will continue. The challenges will arise. The storm clouds will gather. But when you are aligned with your truth, when you are grounded in the stillness that resides deep within you, nothing can disturb your peace. You will find that even in the midst of the storm, you can remain calm. You will find that the world may spin, but you are anchored. And in this anchoring, there is a wisdom that begins to awaken within you. It is the wisdom of the soul ancient, timeless, and always present. The wisdom that tells you that you are not your circumstances, you are the observer of your circumstances. You are the space in which everything occurs, and in this space there is infinite potential for creation. It is not in the effort that you find your power, but in the surrender. It is in the letting go of the need to control that you discover your true strength. The strength of the soul is not the strength to manipulate or force things into being. It is the strength to trust, to allow, to flow with the current of life. And when you do this, when you release the need to hold on, you will discover that everything you have been searching for has always been here inside of you. You see, the journey is not about becoming something you are not. It is about unbecoming everything that you are not. It is about stripping away the layers of conditioning, the layers of fear, the layers of self-doubt that have been placed upon you by others, by society, and by your own mind. These layers obscure the truth of who you are. But when you release them, when you breathe and let them go, you uncover the radiant being that you have always been. This is the power of realignment, is the power of returning to your true self. The self that was never broken, never lost, never lacking. You have always been whole. You have always been complete. And as you let go of the past, you make room for the future to unfold, not as a series of random events, but as a deliberate expression of your soul's purpose. So, what happens when you realign? The answer is simple. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Every person that enters your life, no matter how they appear, is a reflection of your own inner state. You begin to realize that everything that happens for you, not to you. And with this realization comes a deep sense of peace, for you understand that you are not a victim of life, but a co-creator. And this is the most empowering truth you will ever come to know. You have the power to create your reality. It is not your circumstances that shape you, but the way you respond to them. When you breathe deeply, when you release the old stories, when you realign with your soul, you open yourself up to the infinite possibilities that are available to you. You become the creator of your experience. You begin to live with purpose, with intention, and with a sense of divine direction. But this requires trust. Trust that the universe knows what you need before you even ask. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when it doesn't look the way you think it should. Trust that every experience, no matter how challenging, is part of your soul's evolution. And when you trust, you stop resisting. You stop pushing against the current. You stop trying to force life into a mold that is not meant for you. And in that space of trust, you allow life to move you, guide you, and shape you into the highest expression of yourself. Breathe, release, realign. In this simple practice lies the key to your transformation. It is not complicated. It is not something that requires years of study or self-improvement. It is simply a choice. A choice to let go of the illusions that you are not enough, that you are not worthy, that you are not deserving of all the good that life has to offer. It is a choice to align with the truth that you are already whole, already abundant, already free. And as you make that choice, you begin to live in a way that reflects the infinite love and power that resides within you. This is the gift that life offers you in every moment, the gift of choice. The choice to breathe deeply, to release what no longer serves you, and to realign with the truth of who you are. The choice to trust in the flow of life, to let go of the need for control, and to surrender to the wisdom of the soul. And as you do this, you will find that life becomes easier, more fulfilling, more joyful, and more aligned with your highest purpose. So, my friend, I invite you to take a deep breath with me now, to feel the life force that flows through you, to release all the doubts, all the fears, all the burdens that you've been carrying, to realign with your soul, with your true self. And as you do, know that you are not alone. The entire universe is supporting you. You are loved, you are enough, you are free. Breathe, release, realign, and know that you are exactly where you need to be. There comes a sacred turning point, quiet, unannounced, when you no longer crave escape because you have found sanctuary in your own presence. Not because life has become less demanding, but because your relationship to it is transformed. You begin to realize that peace is not the absence of pressure, it is the presence of clarity within it. And this clarity is born not from answers, but from stillness. A stillness so honest that it silences all false narratives with one whisper of truth. You were never lost. You were only distracted from the center. In this rediscovery, you feel a different kind of strength. Take root, not the kind that battles for survival, but the kind that blooms in surrender. Not the might that shouts, but the power that listens. You begin to trust the pauses between decisions, the soft intuition that rises without effort. And with each choice made from this place of inner listening, your life aligns not in some distant future, but right here, beneath your feet. What you once labeled as delays or detours are now seen as sacred recalibrations. The very things you thought were working against you have quietly been rerouting you toward deeper wholeness. There is wisdom hidden in the waiting, in the pauses that used to frustrate you. There is grace in the detours that protect you from destinations too small for your soul. Life you now see has always been more interested in your becoming than your arriving. As you return to this deeper way of being, you no longer seek to fill the silence with noise. The quiet becomes your teacher, revealing that many of your anxieties were born not from reality, but from the mind's habit of forecasting storms that never arrive. You begin to notice the way serenity arises when you stop asking life to match your plans and instead begin listening to what life itself is asking of you. In that listening, a softer rhythm emerges. You no longer wake to a to-do list of worthiness. You rise with reverence. You move not out of obligation, but out of alignment. You speak less to be understood and more to express the integrity of your spirit. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to remain rooted rather than react. Every challenge becomes a portal not to power over anything, but to power within everything. This inner anchoring changes the nature of your presence. Not in some performance of enlightenment, but in the effortless way your calm steadies the atmosphere around you. You become less interested in persuading the world and more committed to embodying truth. Your very existence becomes a quiet invitation. Come sit in your own soul for a while. You are safe here. And the world, without knowing why, begins to breathe easier around you. As you continue to move through life from this deeper alignment, urgency falls away. You no longer measure your worth by milestones or timelines. You know now that the most sacred unfolding cannot be rushed. That becoming is not a race, it's a revelation. And revelation does not arrive by force, but by faith. Faith in the unseen, faith in the whispers, faith in the unfolding architecture of your spirit's expansion. You stop chasing closure and start inviting openness. You stop clinging to outcomes and start honoring the process. You stop bargaining with life and start dancing with it. Because in this state of real union with your truth, you realize there is nothing to win and nothing to prove. There is only the beauty of participating fully, honestly, and consciously in the miracle of being alive. And perhaps the most radical shift of all is this: you begin to forgive yourself. Not just for the mistakes, but for the misunderstanding that you were ever broken to begin with. You no longer carry shame like a shadow. You walk forward in the light of compassion. You understand now that self-forgiveness is not an erasure of responsibility. It is the deepest form of responsibility to heal, to grow, and to stop making yourself smaller than the love that lives inside you. So, let this moment be a new kind of vow. Not a promise to change everything overnight, but a sacred willingness to stay awake, to be present, to honor the unfolding of your soul's unique rhythm. Let your life become less about what you're trying to fix and more about what you're learning to feel, to love, to witness without judgment. That is where the real alchemy lives. And with every breath that enters your body now, feel this deeper alignment settling in, not as a destination reached, but as a homecoming allowed. There's no need to chase healing. There's only the invitation to stay open to it, to become spacious enough for it to happen through you. Life does not need your perfection. It needs your participation, your willingness to show up with honesty and softness, your courage to walk the path barefoot, one step at a time toward truth. So, walk on, tenderly, boldly, without the burden of needing to understand everything. Walk not to escape where you are, but to meet more of who you are. And with each breath, with each quiet act of letting go, you will discover the path has been loving you forward all along. And now, as this path of remembrance draws near its quiet close, feel within you the stillness that has always been there like an ancient lake untouched by the winds of time. It does not demand attention. It does not cry out. It simply waits for your return. This stillness is your truth. Not what the world asked you to become, not what fear tried to sculpt, but the eternal presence that has always watched patiently as you wandered, knowing you would one day return not with shame, but with reverence. You do not arrive here empty-handed. You carry sacred lessons written in the ink of experience. You carry softened edges where once there were thorns. You carry an open heart, cracked not by loss, but by awakening. And through those cracks, light has entered, not the kind that blinds, but the kind that reveals. Light that does not burn away who you were, but blesses it, honors it, forgives it. You see now, even the detours had holy hands guiding them. Even your wounds had wisdom folded inside. You were never off course. You were never behind. You were simply being unraveled, gently, lovingly, until your soul could fit back into its rightful form. What grace, then, to see that all along the obstacles were teachers, the delays were sacred pauses, the heartbreaks were doorways. Each one broke something false apart. Each one led you deeper, not into despair, but into depth. Not into despair, but into truth. And what is that truth, really? It is not some grand philosophy. It is something you can feel, even when words fall short. It is the knowing that you are not separate from life, you are life. You are not a drop in the ocean hoping to be accepted by the tide. You are the tide. You are not here to seek love, you are here to embody it. You are not a fractured soul trying to be repaired. You are a whole presence awakening from a long, forgetful sleep. So breathe with that truth now. Breathe in the peace that comes from no longer needing to chase. Breathe in the relief of no longer needing to perform. Breathe in the beauty of no longer trying to earn what was already yours. Your enoughness, your belonging, your divine place in the tapestry of existence. This is not something you achieve. This is something you allow. Release then, not just what was heavy, but what was hollow. Release the ideas that never truly fit, the beliefs that whispered you were too much or not enough. Release the rush to arrive and honor the sacredness of the unfolding. Release the habit of self-neglect disguised as productivity. Release the mask that smiles when your soul longs to speak. Let it fall. Let it all fall gently, like autumn leaves returning to the earth. And as everything false is laid to rest, you realign not through effort, but through remembrance. You realign by breathing into the space where your soul can finally stretch. You realign by walking your path with less armor and more presence. You realign by choosing grace when the old patterns call you back. You realign by honoring the truth, even when it trembles on your lips. Let this be your new rhythm. Not striving, but listening. Not forcing, but flowing. Not waiting to be chosen, but knowing you are already chosen by life itself. Your existence is not a mistake. It is music, it is medicine, it is movement. And when you live from this place, you do not need to seek purpose, it begins to seek you. In the still corners of the day, may you find yourself softening. In the chaos of the world, may you become the calm. In the mirror, may you meet not a reflection of failure, but the eyes of someone who dared to return. And with each returning breath, may you remember, nothing outside of you holds the key. It is in your inhale, it is in your release, it is in the courage to realign. Again and again. So live gently now, not as someone racing toward healing, but as someone who is no longer hiding from it. Live boldly now, not as someone demanding to be seen, but as someone finally willing to see. Live fully now, not because you've figured it all out, but because you've stopped needing to. And when the world asks who you are, may your very presence answer, I am not who I was. I am not what happened. I am not the echo of my fears. I am the breath returning home. I am the space between the noise. I am the soul. Awake in my own name. Breathe. Release. Realign. And let your life, from this day forward, be the reflection of a soul finally free. There is a silent ache living inside so many people, a persistent, invisible weight that presses down on their spirit with every breath they take. It's the burden of believing they must shrink to be accepted. The ache of walking through life with their head slightly bowed, their light dimmed, their voice filtered through the fear of being too much. They smile politely, tiptoe carefully, apologize often, and hide instinctively all, to avoid disturbing a world that has somehow convinced them that their very being needs justification. But let me remind you of something sacred and eternal. You are not here by accident. You were not placed on this earth to tiptoe around the edges of your own life. You are a divine creation, a masterpiece sculpted from the infinite intelligence of Source itself. And your very existence is not something to apologize for. It is something to stand inside of, fully, gratefully, and unapologetically. The moment you were conceived, an entire universe conspired to breathe life into you. Stars collapsed and reformed in ancient skies. Oceans moved in rhythm with your heartbeat long before you ever touched the sand. The trees were already waiting to offer you shade. The sun was already burning so it could warm your skin. Life did not ask you to prove your worth before it gave you breath. It simply loved you into being. So who are you to apologize for that? Somewhere along the way, the world taught you how to forget your worth. You were handed roles to play and masks to wear. You were told to be quiet, be good, be agreeable, be less. You were taught to seek permission, to prove, to earn, to mold yourself into something palatable to those who hadn't yet remembered their own light. And the tragedy of it all is not just that you believed them, but that you started believing you had to apologize for the parts of you that were too free, too emotional, too passionate, too different, too radiant. But I tell you now, you were not born to beg for space in a universe that formed around you. You are not here to prove your right to exist. Your presence on this planet is the proof. And the very breath in your lungs is the permission. Stop apologizing for needing rest. Stop apologizing for setting boundaries. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop apologizing for your tears, your laughter, your healing, your truth. Stop apologizing for no longer tolerating what drains your soul. Stop apologizing for honoring what your spirit whispers in the quiet hours when no one else is watching. That is your truth. And your truth does not require approval, it requires alignment. The ego will tell you that to be loved, you must be pleasing, that to belong, you must be agreeable. But your soul, your soul knows better. Your soul came here for authenticity, not approval. It came here to remember its own holiness, not to be molded by a world still asleep in the dream of separation. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your joy. You do not owe an apology for your healing. You are not selfish for putting yourself first when the world has asked you to abandon yourself for so long. You are not difficult for saying no when yes would betray your soul. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too anything. You are exactly as you were designed to be, and that design is flawless because it was carved from the fabric of God itself. When you apologize for your existence, you declare to the universe that your presence is a burden, and what you declare becomes the frequency you live in. But when you decide, truly decide, to no longer shrink yourself to be digestible, you rise into a vibration where miracles unfold. Not because you've earned them, but because you've finally stopped resisting them. Healing begins when you stop apologizing for what hurts. Freedom begins when you stop pretending you're not bound. Power begins when you stop seeking permission to be who you already are. There is nothing humble about hiding. There is nothing noble about dimming your light so others can feel comfortable in the dark. True humility is standing tall in your divine nature while knowing that same divinity lives in everyone else. True humility is saying, I will not shrink to fit into your expectations, but I will love you while I rise. And that is what we are all called to do. To rise. To rise into the fullness of our being, to rise into the sacred remembrance that we are already worthy, already whole, already enough. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not an inconvenience to this world. You are the miracle itself. You are the prayer someone else is whispering. You are the answer life is unfolding through. Stop apologizing for that. Your pain does not disqualify you. Your confusion does not cancel your divinity. Your past does not reduce your value. In fact, it is often those very things, the wounds, the questions, the battles that become the fire that forges your awakening. And in the fire, the ego screams, but the soul sings. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be present. You don't have to have all the answers. You only have to be willing to listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet hum of eternity vibrating within you. That's where your truth lives. That's where your power waits. That's where God meets you, not in apology, but in authenticity. When you say, I'm sorry for being too much, you abandon the part of you that is finally ready to rise. When you say, I'm sorry for needing space, you betray the soul that is asking you to breathe. When you say, I'm sorry for taking up room in the world, you rob that very world of the medicine only your presence can give. You are not here to fix anyone. You are here to free yourself. And in your freedom, others are reminded that they too are free. Stop apologizing for your healing journey. It may be messy. It may be nonlinear. It may confuse those who've never dared to walk their own. But your healing is holy. It is not a performance. It is not a public relations campaign. It is sacred alchemy. It is the resurrection of your soul from the ashes of old conditioning. Let your healing be loud. Let your boundaries be firm. Let your truth be untamed. Let your light be unapologetic. And let your presence be permission for others to do the same. You are not here to entertain the wounded expectations of others. You are here to embody the wholeness that lives within you, to remember it, to reclaim it, and to radiate it like the sun that shines without asking if it's allowed to rise. God does not apologize for creating you. So why would you apologize for being? You are not what the world told you you had to be. You are not your mistakes. You are not your labels. You are not your trauma. You are not your timeline. You are not your body. You are not your roles. You are not your past. You are something far more eternal, far more radiant, far more expansive. You are the light of God in human form, learning, growing, stumbling, rising, awakening. And in every breath you take, you have the opportunity to return to that truth. Not to earn it, but to remember it, to breathe into it, to live from it. You are the sky, vast, untouchable, unbroken. Your emotions are the weather that passes through. Your pain is not your identity. Your fear is not your home. Your past is not your prison. All of it, every piece is passing, transient, part of your becoming, not the definition of your being. Stop apologizing for what makes you feel alive. Stop apologizing for your passions, your dreams, your voice, your vision. Stop apologizing for your uniqueness. It is not a defect. It is your design. It is how God made sure the world would never lose the medicine only you could bring. Let the shame melt. Let the guilt dissolve. Let the unworthiness unravel. And in its place, plant the truth like a flag in the ground of your soul. I am allowed to be here. I am allowed to be whole. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to heal. I am allowed to shine. I am allowed to live as if I was never broken, because I never truly was. You are not here to be a watered down version of your truth. You are here to be the full expression of divine life moving through you. Stop apologizing. Start living. You are not born with a sign around your neck that says, "I'm sorry for being here." That sign was crafted by fear, fastened by conditioning, and tightened by the opinions of others who forgot their own divinity. But now, with a breath of awareness, with a clarity of presence, you have the power to take it off, to tear it away, to stand naked before life and the truth of your being and say, I no longer need to be small to feel safe. I no longer need to be silent to feel seen. I no longer need to apologize for the breath that was given to me by something far greater than this world. No flower apologizes for blooming too brightly. No ocean apologizes for being too vast. No star whispers regret for its brilliance. So why should you, who carry the same creative spark, shrink your light to fit into a room built on forgetfulness? The fear of being too much is the echo of someone else's disconnection. But your fullness does not harm, it heals. Your wholeness does not intimidate, it liberates. Your radiance does not cast shadows. It reveals the places still waiting to awaken. You are not a burden for feeling deeply. You are not a mistake for walking away from what wounds your peace. You are not selfish for choosing to protect the sacred temple of your being. In fact, the greatest act of service you can offer the world is to become so deeply aligned with your true self that you no longer bend to the distortions of those who haven't yet remembered who they are. Stop apologizing for needing solitude. The soul grows in stillness. It hears the whisper of God in the hush between distractions. In the silence you try to fill, your spirit speaks loudest. You are not antisocial for choosing stillness over noise. You are sacred. Stop apologizing for your joy. There are people who will misunderstand your happiness because they've never dared to believe they deserve it themselves. But your joy is not a threat, it is a map. It shows the way home to those still lost in the maze of their minds. And stop apologizing for your voice. You were given a sound, a truth, a message encoded with divine intelligence. You were meant to speak, not just in words, but in presence, in energy, in frequency. Your existence hums with a song no other being can sing. So let it rise, let it soar, let it break the silence of suppression. Because when you give yourself permission to be fully expressed, you gift the world
with a living example of what freedom looks like. There are those who will ask you to tone it down, to be more agreeable, to keep the peace by betraying yourself. But that's not peace, that's performance. And the soul was not born to perform, it was born to be. Being does not ask for applause. It asks for truth. It asks for presence. It asks for you to look in the mirror and finally say, I see you. I honor you. I no longer abandon you for the comfort of others. This is your rebirth. This is your rising. This is the moment when you decide that you don't owe anyone a diluted version of your truth. You don't need to lower your voice to be heard by those still sleeping. Let them sleep. Let them dream. But you awaken. And when you awaken, you stop explaining your light to those committed to living in shadow. You stop trying to prove your value to those who've misplaced their own. You stop waiting for permission that has already been granted by existence itself. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest? That sacred remembrance in your belly? That holy flame flickering behind your ribs? That's life saying, you are allowed to speak, to rest, to dance, to feel, to create, to grieve, to laugh, to cry, to walk away, to begin again. You are allowed to be unapologetically you, messy, divine, evolving, radiant, real, because God doesn't make mistakes. And you were not put here to be someone's idea of who you should be. You were sculpted from Source, and Source doesn't apologize for itself. It moves through galaxies, it breathes through mountains, it sings through birdsong and thunder, and now it pulses through you. You don't need to earn your right to exist. That right was bestowed on you the moment your soul agreed to this human journey. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the worth. You are the evidence of divine intelligence in motion. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. So stop apologizing for evolving beyond environments that no longer match your frequency. Stop apologizing for letting go of identities that were only ever survival mechanisms. Stop apologizing for not being who you used to be. You are not here to repeat. You are here to transform. When you stop apologizing, you begin to honor. And in that sacred honoring, you start to remember, I am the light. I am the love. I am the presence. I am the now. I am the one I was waiting for. And this remembrance, this deep cellular knowing, it doesn't require drama. It doesn't require explanation. It just is. Like the breath, like the ocean tide, like the stars spinning silently through a sky that never asks for permission to shine. When you live from this place of unapologetic presence, you move differently. You love more freely. You speak more clearly. You walk through the world not trying to be liked, but simply being light. And those still seeking themselves may not understand you, but those ready to awaken will recognize you, not because of what you say, but because of how you feel. You will become a mirror, a reminder, a beacon. Not because you set out to be those things, but because you finally allowed yourself to stop pretending you weren't already them. And what a gift that is. Not just to yourself, but to the world. So I ask you now, gently, lovingly, directly, what would it feel like to stop apologizing forever? What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow and no longer ask for permission to follow your soul's deepest calling? What would it feel like to rest without guilt, speak without fear, create without censoring, and love without abandoning yourself? That feeling you just imagined, that's not fantasy, that's truth. That's your natural state. That's what your soul came here to remember, to embody, to live. And you don't need to earn it. You only need to choose it. Let the choosing begin now. Let your breath be your vow. Let your silence be your reset. Let your next step be your liberation. And let the world adjust to the sound of your unapologetic soul rising. You are not here to adjust your vibration to fit a world that has forgotten how to feel. You are here to remember. to return, to reclaim your sacredness in a world addicted to appearances. You are not meant to be accepted by everyone. You are meant to be authentic with yourself. And in that radical authenticity, you align with something greater than approval. You align with truth, with God, with the frequency of freedom. You were not born to be a shapeshifter in someone else's narrative. You are the author of your own becoming. You are the breath of divine intention woven into flesh. You are the yes that life whispered into the cosmos before you even arrived. There will be moments when the remnants of your conditioning rise. You will still feel the urge to apologize, to soften your truth, to twist yourself into shapes that feel familiar, even if they suffocate you. But in those moments, I ask you to pause, to breathe, to place your hand over your heart and say, I no longer abandon myself to be digestible. I no longer apologize for who I am becoming. Because who you are becoming is the most honest version of who you've always been beneath the layers. The child who knew how to dream without fear, how to speak without shame, how to dance without watching, how to love without guarding. That version of you is not gone. It is simply waiting for your permission to return. You cannot awaken if you are still apologizing for what your awakening disrupts. The moment you stop explaining your growth is the moment it becomes your natural state. Like water returning to the ocean, you begin to flow back into the infinite. You see, life is not asking you to become something you're not. It's asking you to remember what you already are. There is nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing unworthy. The only illusion is that you ever believed otherwise. And that illusion dies the day you say, I am done performing. I am done pretending. I am done apologizing for being exactly who the universe dreamed me into. It's time now to lay down the armor. The one made of I'm sorry. The one built from fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing others. You do not need it anymore. You never did. Your safety is not in hiding. It's in remembering. Remembering that when you stand in truth, you are never truly alone because the divine walks with you, in you, as you. Let this be your awakening. The realization that your existence is not a problem to solve, but a gift to unwrap every day, in every moment, in every breath. The more you unwrap, the more you reveal the miracle of presence, the miracle of wholeness, the miracle of being unapologetically you. When you no longer apologize for your presence, something miraculous happens. Life begins to respond to you differently. The right people find you. The right doors open. The right energy flows. Not because you finally proved yourself, but because you finally stopped resisting yourself. That's the real secret resistance, is the only thing that keeps you from the life you long for. Not the past, not the people, not the circumstances. It's the belief that you have to shrink, bend, explain, or apologize for what already belongs to you. Let the resistance go. Let it fall off you like an old skin, brittle with the dust of outdated stories. Let it drop like a heavy coat on a summer day, unnecessary, burdensome, ready to be released. You are not here to dim down to survive. You are here to shine to remember. And your light is not arrogance, it's awareness. It's not ego, it's essence. It's not performance, it's presence. And oh, how the world needs your presence. Not your perfection, not your compliance, not your smallness, your presence. Your whole, holy, unapologetic, radiant, messy, miraculous presence. That's what heals. That's what liberates. That's what transforms. You are the healing you've been seeking. You are the return you've been waiting for. You are the revolution your blood remembers. And it begins not with striving, not with effort, but with allowing. Allowing yourself to exist without apology. Allowing yourself to be here without explanation. Allowing yourself to breathe, to feel, to rest, to rise, all without needing anyone's stamp of approval. Because the only approval that ever truly mattered was your own. You are allowed to rewrite the rules, to walk away from shame, to stop explaining your light to those still addicted to their shadows. And you are allowed to do it gently. This doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be soft. Like the moment you choose silence over self-betrayal. Like the moment you choose rest over burnout. Like the moment you choose presence over people-pleasing. It's not about fighting who you were. It's about welcoming who you are. When you say yes to your own existence fully, completely, unapologetically, you become a sanctuary, a space where others remember it's safe to do the same. You stop perpetuating the legacy of apology and begin embodying the lineage of freedom. And isn't that what the world needs now? Not more apologies, more awakenings, not more conformity, more courage, not more fitting in, more standing out, not for attention, but for truth. So now, as we begin to lean gently toward the final stretch of this sacred remembering, let yourself breathe into this truth. You are a divine soul. You are not here by accident. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. You need honoring. You need embracing. You need remembering. Not by the world, but by you. You have nothing left to apologize for. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are on time. Right here, right now, with the breath of God in your lungs, with the wisdom of eternity in your cells, with the courage to rise echoing in your bones. You do not need permission to be free. You only need to stop pretending you aren't. And the moment you do, the moment you release the last apology lingering in your energy field, the whole universe exhales in celebration because you finally remembered what it has known all along. You are not here to apologize for your existence. You are here to embody it. You do not owe your light to anyone else's comfort. You do not have to fold yourself in half to be loved. You do not need to barter your authenticity for belonging. Because the deepest belonging begins when you belong fully to yourself, when you no longer need a crowd to echo your worth, because your very breath is an affirmation from the divine that you matter, that you are sacred, that your being is an irreplaceable note in the cosmic symphony of existence. Do you know what happens when you stop apologizing for your existence? You become available for life. Truly available. Available to receive joy without guilt. Available to speak truth without trembling. Available to love without disappearing. Available to create without censoring. Available to serve without losing yourself. You become the open channel through which God pours, not because you became worthy, but because you remembered you always were. And in that remembering, something extraordinary occurs. You stop striving for freedom and you begin embodying it. The trees don't ask for forgiveness when they grow tall. The rivers don't say, "I'm sorry," as they carve canyons into mountains. The stars don't apologize for lighting the sky. So why would you apologize for shining in the way only you can? You are not a mistake that needs to be corrected. You are a miracle that needs to be witnessed. And your first witness must be you. So take this moment right here, right now, and breathe into the truth that your very existence is holy ground. Your life is not something you need to earn. It is something you get to inhabit fully, gratefully, boldly. And every time you choose presence over apology, you reclaim another part of your soul. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice trembles, you realign with the deeper rhythm of the universe. Every time you say no to what dishonors you and yes to what nourishes you, you shift the fabric of reality toward love. This is not selfish. This is sacred. Because when you are full, not ego-full, but soulful, you overflow into others. Your wholeness becomes contagious. Your light becomes a mirror. Your freedom becomes a map. And without needing to fix, preach, or perform, you simply become the embodiment of permission. Permission to feel, permission to rest, permission to evolve, permission to be. And that is how the world heals, not through force, but through presence. Not through shame, but through remembrance. Not through apology, but through alignment. So the invitation now is this: walk forward, not as someone seeking to be enough, but as someone who has remembered they always were. Walk as one who no longer begs for room, but who blesses every space with their being. Walk as one who does not shrink in fear, but expands in love. And if the world trembles at your fullness, let it. That trembling is the sound of illusions breaking. That trembling is the sound of permission rippling through collective consciousness. That trembling is the birth cry of a new way of being, one that no longer apologizes for its own holiness. You were born for this. You were born to be seen, not for who others want you to be, but for who you truly are. Beneath the costumes, the masks, the edits, you were born to be heard, not with a voice that performs, but with one that pierces through illusion like thunder wrapped in honey. You were born to stand not above others, but beside your own soul in unwavering devotion. You were born to awaken not someday, but now. And now is enough. Now is sacred. Now is waiting. Waiting for you to say the words that shift your entire reality. I no longer apologize for being me. Say it again. Gently. I no longer apologize for being me. Let it settle in your belly. Let it move through your spine. Let it dissolve the chains that were never yours to carry. You are no longer bound to a life of permission slips and second guessing. You are no longer required to carry guilt as your entry pass into love. You are no longer obligated to dilute your spirit to be understood. You are here to live in the fullness of your sacred yes. And this is your yes. This is your exhale. This is your homecoming. You will not be for everyone, but you are for you. You are for God. You are for truth. And that is enough. That is everything. And from this place, this whole radiant, unapologetic place, you now become the living proof that freedom is not found in permission, but in presence. You become the walking remembrance that we are all divine, we are all worthy, and none of us need to apologize for the miracle we already are. And now, as the final petals of this message begin to unfold in your heart, let these words land like soft thunder in your soul. You are allowed. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to rise. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to laugh. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to stay. You are allowed to rewrite your story. You are allowed to no longer explain it. You are allowed to just be, without justification, without apology, just you, whole, sacred, loved, free.